Jake Morrison stepped through the towering crystal doors of the Galactic Council chambers. Even after years of attending these sessions, the sheer size of the hall never failed to overwhelm him. It was bigger than any structure ever built on Earth, a cathedral to bureaucracy and power, filled with thousands of seats designed for thousands of alien species. Some looked like colossal insects, their limbs twitching in constant motion. Others were crystalline beings, refracting the chamber's lights into shifting rainbows. Coiling serpentine delegates with 3 heads, bioluminescent jellyfish that floated in the air, every form of life in the galaxy seemed to be represented here. And then, there was him, a single human in a plain black suit, standing in a room where every other species shimmered with ornament and ceremonial splendor. Jake had been Earth's ambassador for 5 long years. And in all that time, he had asked the same question month after month. Would humanity be granted full membership in the Galactic Council? And every time, the answer was the same: dismissal, laughter, condescension. This day began no differently. The council speaker, ZTH Kaler of the Vex Collective, shuffled documents with his insectoid forearms as his multifaceted eyes swept the chamber. The universal translator in Jake's ear smoothed the buzzing clicks into English, but it could not hide the tone. It was the tone of someone reading chores off a list. Trade disputes. Hyperspace lanes. Agricultural quotas. Each delegate's issue was met with deliberation, respect, and careful consideration. Until humanity's petition was read aloud. The room shifted. The seriousness evaporated, replaced by amusement. The translators crackled with laughter in languages that had no human equivalent. Councillor Vrax of the Serpentine Alliance was the first to speak. His 3 snake-like heads swayed hypnotically as he mocked, "Humans seek equality with us. They've been in space for less than a century. Their ships are crude metal shells, held together with bolts and welding. They still rely on chemical rockets to climb out of their own gravity well." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Then Chancellor Morvac of the Crystal Hegemony rose, his diamond body scattering light into dazzling arcs. "Perhaps we should illustrate for our human observer why his species is not ready for true galactic civilization." A holographic projection bloomed in the air. Side-by-side comparisons, sleek alien ships flowing like living sculptures, and beside them, humanity's jagged metal warships bristling with weapons. Alien vessels cloaked themselves in energy fields that bent light itself. Human ships, by comparison, looked like industrial hammers, blunt, angular, and scarred with armor plating. Morvac's glass-like voice rang out, "Look at their technology. They still fire solid projectiles from tubes. Their computers are mechanical, not bioneural. Their energy comes from burning fuels and splitting atoms, when any true civilization draws from zero-point energy or quantum fluctuations." More laughter. More ridicule. Councillor Ithmar of the Ethereal Conclave flickered like a half-seen ghost as he added, "Their society is fragmented. Tribes in constant competition. They fight wars among themselves as if they were still animals. They are unevolved." Each alien spoke as if humanity were not in the room at all, as if Jake himself were invisible. Yet he sat, quiet, taking notes. Because while they saw weakness in humanity's crude simplicity, Jake saw something else: strength. For every ship the council mocked as primitive, Jake knew it was built not for elegance but for survival. For every human soldier they dismissed, Jake remembered they were trained to adapt, improvise, and fight against impossible odds. These aliens had lived in peace for thousands of years. Humans had been forged in struggle. The final insult came from Speaker ZTH Kaler himself, towering over the chamber, forearms spread wide. "Humans are children playing with fire. They lack the wisdom to wield the tools they've discovered. Perhaps in another 1,000 years, if they abandon their primitive violence, we might grant them apprentice status." The chamber erupted with applause, clicking, buzzing, howling. A tidal wave of mockery that drowned out every other sound. And for Jake Morrison, something broke. He rose from his seat. Slowly. Deliberately. And the laughter died. No human ambassador had ever spoken during a council session before. They didn't have the right. But Jake spoke anyway. You mistake simplicity for weakness, he began, his voice cutting across the chamber. You laugh at our metal ships, forgetting that enough firepower will collapse your energy shields. You mock our rockets, but your gravity drives rely on rare elements we can already manufacture. You sneer at our kinetic weapons, forgetting that a piece of metal moving fast enough can punch through any defense. The chamber fell into silence. Thousands of alien eyes locked onto him. We came here seeking friendship, partnership. We wanted to learn and to share. But I see now you only respect one thing. Power. Jake reached into his suit jacket and withdrew a small communicator. Alarms instantly wailed as station security systems locked onto him, fearing a weapon. He ignored them, opened a direct channel to Earth. His words echoed in every language as they were translated live. Admiral Sullivan, this is Ambassador Morrison. Execute Protocol 7. Humanity withdraws from all Galactic Council proceedings. From this moment, we are independent. The chamber exploded into chaos. Furthermore, Jake continued, unshaken, any attempt to enforce Council authority within human space will be considered an act of war. You have 36 hours to evacuate all personnel. Speaker ZTH Kaler's voice pierced the uproar. You cannot be serious. One species cannot defy the combined might of the galaxy. Jake turned toward him, and for the first time, smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the cold expression of a predator. You're right. We are just one species. But we are a species forged in fire. We fought nature. We fought each other. We fought the universe itself, and we never learned how to give up. You ask what makes humans different. The answer is simple. When faced with a superior enemy, you surrender. Humans, find a way to win. He walked toward the doors, every step echoing in the hushed chamber. Just before leaving, he turned back one last time. You have 36 hours. Decide whether you wish to learn what human warfare really looks like. I suggest you choose wisely. The crystal doors closed behind him with a soft chime. And for the first time in 3,000 years, the Galactic Council felt something it had forgotten. Fear. When Jake Morrison's words echoed across the chamber, the galaxy dismissed them as nothing more than human arrogance. 36 hours. That was the ultimatum he had given. To most alien civilizations, it was a laughable deadline, the empty threat of a child who did not understand the weight of galactic politics. And yet, behind closed doors, the Council did not laugh. Not entirely. The Vex Collective demanded immediate sanctions. The Crystal Hegemony called for a blockade of human space. The Serpentine Alliance, ever pragmatic, suggested ignoring humanity altogether. After all, what could one young species truly accomplish against civilizations that had ruled the stars for millennia? They have no fleets, one delegate scoffed. Their weapons are toys. Their numbers are few. But others remembered something different. They remembered humanity's history, those brief flashes when humans had been underestimated before. When a tribal species had clawed its way from stone tools to nuclear fire in the blink of an eye. When they had gone from their first rocket to interstellar colonization within a single lifetime. The galaxy had seen rapid development before, but never so accelerated, never so desperate. Humanity's rise was not smooth evolution. It was survival. Still, the Council convinced itself of a comfortable truth: humanity's anger would pass. Their ambassador's defiance was political theater, nothing more. But back on Earth, the silence told another story. Admiral Sullivan received the ambassador's coded order with no hesitation. Protocol 7, a command drafted in secret long before humanity had joined the Council as observers. Few even knew it existed. It was simple: the moment humanity was dismissed as weak, the moment the council decided they were irrelevant, they would begin to act. Factories across Earth and its colonies shifted overnight. Civilian production halted, and war industries awakened from dormancy. Assembly lines that once built passenger ships now produced carriers. Mining colonies redirected all exports not toward trade, but toward weapons. But what alarmed alien spies most was not the scale of human industry. It was the secrecy. Every other galactic power broadcasted strength. Fleets paraded across star systems, military exercises were shown on public channels, and warships gleamed like works of art. Humans did the opposite. No public declarations. No military demonstrations. Only silence, the silence of preparation. Alien intelligence networks tried to monitor them, but human encryption had grown labyrinthine. Messages vanished into quantum channels. Shipyards went dark behind energy screens. Supply chains twisted through civilian fronts and black markets until no outsider could trace them. To the Council, it looked chaotic, uncoordinated. But to Admiral Sullivan, it was deliberate. Humanity was not building for show. They were building for survival. As the 36-hour deadline expired, humanity's representatives failed to return. The Galactic Council expected them to apologize. Instead, Earth cut all channels of communication. The council chambers buzzed with derision. They think themselves wolves, hissed Councillor Vrax of the Serpentine Alliance. But wolves cannot hunt lions. A tantrum, added Chancellor Morvac, crystalline body glinting. They will crawl back once they realize they cannot live without trade, without our technology. Speaker ZTH Kaler clicked his mandibles together. Let them isolate themselves. In time, they will beg for re-entry. And so, the council laughed again. Trade routes were adjusted, markets shifted, and humanity was written off as irrelevant. Yet the laughter never reached human ears. Because Earth no longer listened. On a quiet military station orbiting Mars, Admiral Sullivan addressed his fleet commanders. His words were not those of arrogance, but of grim clarity. The Council believes we cannot win a conventional war. They're correct. Our fleets are smaller. Our weapons are older. Our resources are fewer. We cannot match them ship for ship. But we do not need to. He paused, letting silence hang heavy in the air. The galaxy has forgotten how to fight. They've spent millennia in peace, their wars small, ritualized, bound by rules and traditions. We have no such luxury. Our wars have always been total. When we fight for survival. That is what they do not understand. And that is how we will win. Human doctrine was simple, asymmetry. Where alien fleets moved with predictable precision, humans would strike without warning. Where alien ships relied on elegant shields, humans would launch weapons designed to brute force their way through. Where alien societies avoided civilian targets by tradition, humanity had learned that industry and supply chains were the lifeblood of any war. Every human officer in the room understood. They would never win by playing the Council's game. They had to change the rules entirely. When the first incident occurred, most of the galaxy ignored it. A patrol fleet belonging to the Vex Collective simply vanished. Dozens of ships erased from sensors near the edge of human space. At first, it was blamed on a navigational error. Perhaps they strayed into a gravity well, or an anomaly. But then another fleet disappeared. And another. Fragments of wreckage began to surface. Hulls punctured by kinetic rounds moving at impossible speeds. Engines disabled by crude but effective electromagnetic pulses. No survivors. No distress signals. Only silence. The Council grew uneasy. How? Demanded Chancellor Morvac, crystalline edges trembling with agitation. No primitive species could outmaneuver our fleets. But the Serpentine Alliance knew better. They had studied humanity's history. They knew humans never fought fair. In markets across the galaxy, whispers spread like wildfire. Merchants spoke of human ships that attacked without warning, then vanished into dark space. Refugees from the frontier told stories of human saboteurs infiltrating outposts, crippling them from within. At first, these were dismissed as rumors. But then the numbers came in. Ship losses. Supply chain disruptions. Entire colonies refusing to send tribute to the Council out of fear humanity would retaliate. For the first time, the great civilizations of the galaxy felt something they had not known in generations. Vulnerability. And through it all, Earth said nothing. No speeches. No propaganda. No declarations of war. Only silence. Because silence was its own kind of weapon. Every alien commander knew that in war, information was as vital as firepower. And yet, humanity revealed nothing. No one knew how many ships they had built, how many soldiers they had trained, or what technologies they had unlocked in secret. Silence bred uncertainty. And uncertainty bred fear. The galaxy had mocked humanity's simplicity. Now, they began to fear it. In the great halls of the Council, delegates demanded answers. Where was the fleet that was supposed to keep order? Why were colonies rebelling? Why were trade routes collapsing? And one by one, those who had laughed at Earth began to realize a truth they had long ignored. Humanity did not need to be the most advanced. They only needed to be the most dangerous. The disappearances should have been warning enough. But the Council dismissed them as accidents, anomalies, or the result of incompetence. They still believed the humans were incapable of deliberate, large-scale war. They were wrong. The first undeniable blow came at the Erickson shipyards. For centuries, they had been the pride of the crystal hegemony, vast orbital rings constructing warships so massive they required years of assembly. Each one was a symbol of galactic dominance, gleaming monuments to the hegemony's power. And yet, one morning, without warning, the shipyards erupted into flame. No fleet was detected approaching. No missiles were tracked. No intruders were seen. The orbital stations simply went dark, their reactors overloading, their docking clamps detonating, their half-finished warships tearing themselves apart in chain reaction. When investigators arrived, they found evidence not of an enemy fleet, but of infiltration. 100 tiny acts of sabotage, coordinated perfectly, triggered at the same moment. The Council demanded to know who had dared such an act. But deep within their hearts, the answer was already known. Humanity had drawn first blood. Panic spread like fire through the chambers of the Council. The Vex Collective screamed for total war, demanding the extermination of Earth before the contagion of rebellion spread further. The Serpentine Alliance, cautious and calculating, urged restraint, reminding the others that humanity's methods were unlike anything they had seen. To march blindly into a war with them was to risk humiliation. The crystal hegemony was enraged beyond reason. To them, the destruction of Erickson was not just a military loss, it was a wound to their pride, an insult that demanded retribution. But while the Council debated, humanity acted. On the galactic frontier, colonies once loyal to the Council began refusing their tithe. At first, it was subtle. Shipments delayed, resources lost in transit. Then it became open defiance. Alien governors discovered their storehouses emptied overnight. Their defensive fleets sabotaged. Local populations whispering of human agents, unseen but everywhere. The humans are among us, one governor cried before resigning. They do not fight us in the open. They dissolve us from within. And still, Earth said nothing. No declarations of war. No demands. No broadcasts of propaganda. Just silence, punctuated by fire. It was the Serpentine Alliance who first attempted a direct confrontation. Their fleet, polished and precise, swept into human space expecting an easy victory. Instead, they found nothing. No planetary defenses, no battle lines, no fleets waiting to meet them. The Serpentine commanders mocked the humans as cowards. Until the ambush began. Missiles launched from hidden silos buried deep within asteroids. Drones swarmed from disguised freighters, tearing at engines and weapons. Boarding teams struck like phantoms, crippling flagships from within. The Serpentine fleet retreated in disarray, not from superior firepower, but from fear. Fear of an enemy that did not fight the way wars were meant to be fought. Among the neutral species of the galaxy, the Harari watched carefully. They were older than the Council itself, but they had chosen neutrality in all matters of war. To most, they seemed passive, even cowardly. But when their envoys arrived uninvited on the floor of the Council, silence fell. You mock the humans because you do not understand them, the Harari elder spoke, voice low but unyielding. You think them reckless. You think them primitive. But you are blind. Humanity remembers a truth you have all forgotten: war is not ceremony. It is survival. The chamber erupted in protest. But the elder raised a trembling hand. And yet, you should fear not only the humans. For their awakening stirs echoes we have long dreaded. In your arrogance, you have provoked not merely a species, but the architects. The word hung heavy, alien and unfamiliar to many in the chamber. But those who had studied the old archives shivered. The architects. A name whispered only in forgotten records. A species, or force, that had once burned across the stars, erasing civilizations like footprints in sand. And if the Harari were to be believed, the humans' rise had stirred their attention once more. The council fractured under the weight of fear. Some demanded war against humanity, others urged appeasement, and a growing number whispered that perhaps humanity was not the true danger at all. But in the shadows, away from debate, the truth became clear. The great civilizations had grown complacent. They had relied on tradition, ritual, and politics to prevent true war. Humanity had no such illusions. Their silence was not arrogance. It was focus. Preparation. And with each passing day, the galaxy realized it could not predict what humanity would do next. On Earth, Ambassador Morrison addressed the hidden council of leaders. They think we are reckless. They think we are dangerous. Perhaps they are right. But we must decide what we want to be. Do we strike until the council collapses? Do we force them to kneel? Or do we prepare for something worse? He did not need to say the name. They all knew what the Harari had warned of. The architects. Humanity stood now at a crossroads. They could seize power, claim vengeance, and rise as the new rulers of the galaxy. Or they could recognize that their true war had yet to begin. For in the void, something stirred. Watching. Waiting. And so humanity did what it had always done best. It prepared in silence. The council raged. Fleets mobilized. Treaties were signed and broken. And still, Earth gave no answers. Because the humans knew the truth. The galaxy thought it had awakened a wolf. But wolves did not scare the architects. And when the architects returned, it would not be the galaxy's survival at stake. It would be existence itself. And in that coming storm, humanity's silence would no longer be a weapon of revenge. It would be the last fragile ember of hope.